Welcome to the Freak Show. Let's dive into this theory, shall we? As you know, we're reviewing the seasons of American Horror Story in the Freaks of AHS on Facebook. Link to the group is in the description. And I noticed something while rewatching this season. Constance demonstrated the power of sight many times during the season. Now, guys, let's be clear. She doesn't have like a glorious power such as a seven wonder, but she did have visions revealing the present and future, and that is a form of divination. If this video reaches over 100 likes, I will make more theory videos. And don't forget, guys, as usual, this video will probably spoil you if you haven't seen season 1 of American Horror Story, so do not watch it if you haven't seen it. Now, here's my example of Constance being a witch in Murder House. Now, first one is she stopped Ben from burning himself in the pilot. Now, how did Constance know that Ben would be in the kitchen about to burn himself? One awesome viewer did point out that she was probably aware of the behaviors from previous owners, but she wasn't there when Ben turned on the fireplace while sleepwalking the first night in the house. And plus, if she knew the behavior from previous owners, she was there right at the perfect time. I just don't understand how she got there right at the perfect time to prevent him from burning himself on the stove. Next example, she knew Vivian was pregnant. Constance explains to Vivian she knew she was pregnant by the smell of her pheromones, the hormone a woman produces when pregnant. But she seemed taken back when she realized Vivian was pregnant. Now, I think she had a vision of Vivian and Ben in the kitchen that Constance and Vivian were standing in, and maybe she had a vision of Vivian telling Ben that she's pregnant. Next example. She made a cupcake intended for Violet and disabled the killer that got away from the murder house. Now, I know what most of you are thinking, that the cupcake was poisoned and intended to make Violet sick. But Constance doesn't hate Violet. We see a scene with the two of them sharing a cigarette with tea and cake after Addie died. It's a very honest, open scene between the two, and this is when Constance reveals that Tate is her son. There's never, in that scene, I got that Constance did not have any sort of ill will towards Violet. Therefore, I doubt the cupcakes were meant for Violet. So I think that because the cupcakes disabled one of the killers, it allowed Violet to help get away and for Tate to come in and kill the first one and then the second. So I just think they played a great part in helping Violet get away. Now, the next example is that in this episode that Hayden is killed, Constance tells Ben when she sees him digging in the backyard that she sees him building a gazebo and drinking a glass of iced tea while he's digging. And then later, he does build the gazebo, but he builds it to cover Hayden's body, and the scene ends with him and Vivian drinking iced tea on it. Now, if that is not a great example for using sight, I don't know what is. But let's move on. The next example is Constance was waiting for Violet in the kitchen after she Googled Tate and found out that he was a school shooter. And she even had Billy Dean Howard on standby. How many psychics do you know that will just wait around for somebody to understand something and come running to them? You know, I mean, how did Constance know that Violet did her research right then and there on Tate? Now, the answer is from Constance herself when she says to Violet that she knows Violet found out about Tate, and I'm positive that that was through a vision. Now, I know what most of you are thinking. If Constance was a witch, why the hell didn't she use her powers to get what she wants? You know, save Addie when she died on Halloween night, or like know her that her son was a psycho and was going to shoot up his high school. Well, my answer is that she didn't have a vision indicating those events would happen. Maybe because Tate was her son and Addie's her daughter, things like maybe because it was her family. And clearly, I just honestly don't believe that Constance realizes she's a witch. Or I guess you could say her dreams and her visions are best described as the gift of sight. So it appears that Constance is limited to the future and the present. not the past events. Now, my last example lies in Billie Dean Howard herself. I'm sure Constance did realize at some point in her life that she carried a gift, and is probably the real reason why she contacted Billie Dean Howard in the first place. She even admitted to going through different psychics through Craigslist, but Billie was the only legit one. Now, why would Constance look for a psychic? Surely she wouldn't need one for the ghosts in the murder house. That wouldn't make sense if you remember that the ghosts are murderous, and bringing in a psychic would be like giving the ghosts a new victim. Sort of like giving Billie Dean to the ghosts of the Hotel Cortez. And besides, Constance wouldn't need a psychic to contact the ghosts in the murder house. They freely come right out and show themselves to her, even as her son Tate that hates her. And when Violet asks Constance and Billie Dean for their help in banishing Chad and Patrick's spirit from the house, Billie Dean clearly has never been in the house before. So why find a psychic for a house with ghosts that appear freely and easily? The answer is Constance was looking for someone with legitimate powers, such as herself, a person to confide in who could provide answers to sought after questions that Constance needed. Now, guys, my strong feeling is Constance is a descendant of Mimi de Longpre. I know I removed that thought from my Constance Witch Theory video, but that was honestly for lack of facts. You guys know how much I love facts. But now I can honestly say it is likely that the two are related. Witchy powers can skip a generation. Now, if Constance is a witch, which I believe she is, it would definitely make sense that her 4 children did not carry powers. So if Constance knew she had power, another question, why didn't she use it to obtain what she wanted in life? Now, my answer to that is, how do you use the site to get Murder House or, to become an actress or get lots of money? I mean, sure, you can sell your talent to the highest bidder like Billie Dean does. But if you're Constance, who is inexperienced with their power, has 4 kids, especially disabled children, your options are very limited. And I do believe the murder house itself played a huge part in the reason why Constance seemed to forget her dreams. In episode 3, when Moira's ghost says that she wants to leave the murder house and go home, Constance explains that she wants to be free of the house as well, but she can't, even though Constance isn't a ghost. We get the impression that Constance can't leave the house because the ghosts of her family reside there, and the house itself is something that is like a goal, something she's always wanted, like being a movie star. But Constance has always said that being a movie star was her biggest and first dream and desire. So I believe that the evil power inside the house appreciated Constance's admiration of it so much that the two have basically morphed into like a sick, twisted, abusive relationship. So how has Constance came and gone, through the house without being murdered all these years? That definitely explains it. The Harmons were there for less than a year, and all of them, and I do mean every single one of them, were murdered. Chad and Patrick were another set of owners killed quickly after moving in as well. Like even Constance's husband and Moira. So you'd think that the ghosts, especially the ghost of Constance's husband, Moira, and like Larry's burned wife, that they would have taken Constance out when she stepped across the threshold of the murder house. Yet Constance and her grandson are allowed to safely leave? A ghost definitely got time for that. So I definitely wanted to point out the relationship between Constance and the house, because we do hear in one of the final episodes of Murder House, when Billie is in the house describing the evil in there, she explains that the ultimate goal of the house is to basically materialize and walk with those living, and that it used the ghosts in the house as its energy to manifest. So I believe that Constance is ultimately possessed by the evil. The two have this sick relationship, and that's why it has allowed her to come and go so often without succumbing to another ghost murdering her. So to me, guys, this proves that Constance was a witch with sight in season 1, working on discovering the history of her power and how it can work for her with Billy Dean Howard as some kind of a mentor. So as you'll know, I love your theories and ideas, so make sure you leave them below and I'll probably reply to you. What did you guys think of my theory? Leave a like if you liked the video, and thanks for watching my newest theory video. More to come, such as the 7 degrees of Sarah Paulson theory video, so subscribe so you don't miss them. Patrons get my videos much earlier, as well as other exclusive rewards, and it is their generosity that pays for the prizes I give away. So become a patron by clicking on the link in the description. Join the Freaks of AHS on Facebook and review all of the seasons with American Horror Story with me and my admins. Link to the group is in the description, and this week we are covering Asylum. Thank you all for your support and love. Thanks for watching, and beware of sexy Scathach.